Hello, everybody. This is Peter and Sylvia. We're back, and you know us from now. We are therapists, both of us, and we have these conversations regularly where we talk about things that we pick up in life in general or in the workplace. And it has got something to do with mental health and well-being. And these conversations are not scripted. So we start somewhere and we figure out where we end up. And we hope that these conversations matter to you. And the topic for this particular conversation is actually mattering. Mattering is a wonderful term that has been around for a long time, been forgotten, and seems to be coming back up again when we talk about people and their well-being. And it's you and I, Sylvia, have had these conversations a number of times where we think, yeah, this is just another fancy term for something that's been going on for a long time anyway, like quiet quitting, for example.
Yep.
Yeah, we've all done that, but now it's got a term. But this one is different. It actually is a term that's been around. It's been picked up again, and it matters. It's a good term because it explains what's going on. And I just wonder whether you would explain a little bit more what mattering is, Sylvia.
Um, I think in terms of it's sort of different levels, we talk about mental health and poor mental health in the workplace, but also as personally as well, because it's very difficult sometimes to separate one from the other. I think mattering in terms of mattering, it does matter. It's on a visceral level, it taps into our, in my opinion, my belief, our fundamental needs as human beings to feel that we matter. That tends to then tap into our self-esteem, recognition, attention potentially. Do I matter to someone, to something? And I think it has a powerful influence on how we feel about ourselves, how we think, how we act, how we behave, how we interact with others. It can enhance your life. I know, for example, from my own self in those dark days, and listeners to our little conversations will know that I've had some very dark times in the past. But one of the things that used to pop up was, do I matter? What's the point? And I think it taps into that mattering. And in the workplace, that sense of do I matter? Do I make a difference? Is what I'm doing recognized? If I wasn't here, would it matter to someone else? Would it matter to my colleagues? Would it matter to my boss? And I think that's a very fundamental thing that, some people might think it a bit fluffy, a bit like kindness. We spoke about that before as well, haven't we, Peter? That in the workplace, if someone feels that they matter, they're making a difference, that makes such a difference to that workplace environment, to that person, and also to the organization as well. Because there is a tendency then, if someone feels that they matter, they're making a difference, they're recognized, they're valued, they add value, all those words that boost our well-being, our wellness, who we are and what we do, our sense of purpose, all those things, it can really make a difference.
And I think mattering is one of those where when you feel that you do matter, it's a self-fulfilling kind of thing where you then go and do more of
Yeah.
what you have been recognized for. So it must be a good thing in personal relationships, in friendships, in business relationships. And all it takes is for the context that you operate in to recognize you as a human being who's there for a reason. So what is the reason for being there? And you mentioned point and purpose. Recognition has very often got something to do with financial reward, bonuses, or whatever it is, pay rises for having hung in there for long enough and not put your foot in it. But that's not what people are craving. They do crave attention. And if we're just taken for granted, we feel neglected. And when we feel neglected, we don't perform. So it's not enough in the workplace, for example, to just say, well, I pay you for this, you get your salary. So what more do you need?
Mm.
Well, I need to be treated not like a machine, but like a
Mhm.
human being.
Mhm.
And it costs nothing actually.
Mm.
But what you get back is tremendous in terms of goodwill and more effort, because someone can see the point of putting in the effort.
I think that's a great point there, that it costs absolutely nothing to acknowledge that someone's done a good job, for example, or acknowledge a piece of work. I read a report recently about one of the biggest drivers of workplace disengagement and burnout is lack of recognition. Lack that someone matters, lack of recognition of what that person is doing makes a difference, and it matters. If you have, and I think that's in the workplace, it's a really important thing to do. If someone does a good job, that they matter. And it's, I think sometimes it's the simple things that seem to be, I don't know, perhaps it's because they're so simple, they're not acknowledged or people don't think about them. But, if you think about our own selves, do I matter? Do I matter to my friends? Do I matter to you? Do I matter to you, Peter? Do I matter to myself? That's another thing. Do I matter? Asking my own self the question.
Mhm.
Because if I don't have that self-belief or that self-worth or lots of other things, if I don't feel I matter, then how can I expect other people to matter me, if there's such a verb? It doesn't matter, I just made it up. But it's our sense of how others view us as mattering or not mattering. And what happens if we don't feel that we matter? That's also key. If I don't feel that I matter, where does that leave me in terms of my own mental health, my poor mental health?
Mhm.
Where do I slip along the mental health continuum? If I feel like I'm invisible, if I feel like I'm out the loop, no one hears me, no one believes me, no one understands me, no one listens to me because I don't matter. Where does that leave me? So there's the very, very serious side of not mattering and the impact that has as well.
And you and I get to hear those stories in our work. I
Yes,
certainly have had clients who have told me that they think the world is going to be a better place if they're not in it.
yes,
So you can get to the point where you matter so little that you think the only way I can make a difference, a positive one, is to take my own life. And that's sort of the extreme of wanting to matter, isn't it?
yes.
But it comes from a long period of really feeling that there's no point, there's no purpose, I don't matter. Why am I here? Because nobody recognizes my existence. Not the work that I do, but my existence, my quality as a
Mm,
human.
mm,
And that's a very sad state to end up in,
mm.
but it is not unique. It happens a lot.
It's very interesting you say that, because I've had a very, very recent conversation with a very dear friend of mine who has always appeared strong, strong, empowered, all those things. And has had a really, really tough spell recently and has actually thought of taking their own life because picking up on what you just said there, Peter, they have felt that they will actually be doing their friends and family and everyone else a favour by not being here. The fact that it would matter to them that not being here would make a difference to the people they would leave behind. And and they've really struggled with that because they've always considered suicide as selfish. And it's interesting, we've only just had World Suicide Prevention Day, but they've completely changed their view, that in their view it's a selfless, and this is a massive shift from one end of the scale to the other for my friend, that they feel that actually it would matter to them if they weren't here. She's changed her view now. She's getting better, but it's a very interesting sense about, if I don't matter, then why am I here? I'm not burdening other people. So this is the very serious impact of when someone feels that they don't matter. So this is why I think mattering is very important. And I think this is also an example where, as you said at the beginning, that sometimes we can have all these these words that come along and oh yeah, here we go again, another word. But this is actually elevating this word, this term of mattering, to bring it to more into our conscious awareness that it really does matter.
And I think very often we operate at work, and maybe also in life in general, in a bubble without seeing the bigger context.
Yeah.
When I have a client, for example, who says, "Oh, I'm only a warehouse operative," then I know that he doesn't see the context. So we talk about the context of what he's doing. And if it wasn't for him, other people would not get on their table what they need,
Yeah.
because someone needs to do all those bits in the supply chain from wherever something is made to it ending up at the consumers. And I have had a lot of clients who say, well, I only do this, I'm only that. But that's because either they've been told you don't matter,
Mm.
or they think they don't because they don't understand that that maybe tiny piece that they are in the big scheme of things is actually important. So I think we need to look more at the context we're in,
Mm-hmm.
recognize that if no one does what I do, then the whole big thing is going to fall apart.
Yeah.
And also, we do need to be kinder, more observant to one another, and not just take each other for granted. Oh, you get your salary. What more do you want? Well, treat me like a human being. A bit of kindness goes a long way.
I think picking up on the word only,
Hmm?
it's a bit like someone that's out, oh, I'm just a bus driver.
Only or just. Yeah.
Only or just.
Mm.
Very, very small words physically, one syllable, two syllables, tiny, 4 letters, but they can be indicators of how that person feels about themselves and how they feel about their place in the world. You know, as you say, the lift operator, the bus driver, they are all jobs that matter. And I think sometimes as leaders and as managers as well, if we can be aware and pay attention to those small words, if you have someone that says, oh, I'm only, not exactly call them out, but actually reminding them that what they do matters, so that, they don't keep putting themselves, I'm only, putting themselves down, I'm just a, remind them actually that's a very important job that you're doing there. I think that's something that we can all do, I think.
I think we should, and we should probably all do more of it.
Hmm.
We hope this conversation has mattered to you.
Yeah.
And we like to hear your comments as always.
Hmm.
And we shall see you again in another video. Take care for now. Bye.
Cheerio. Bye bye.